Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome once again to HR Digest. HR Digest is brought to you by Sedat Consult, your number one stop shop for all your HR solutions. And we are supported by FA Impressions. For all your branding and printing needs, FA Impressions is the go to. You can contact them on the 0243 526 781. 0243 526 781. So that's HR Digest is brought to you every Sunday like this from 4 p.m. And we discuss very trendy issues, very topical issues, geared towards developing your professional knowledge and understanding. We thank you for our cherished listeners and our ardent listeners. We know some people are repeat listeners, and we so appreciate you. As we go along and you join in, just type in where you're listening to us from, and we would mention you. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon. This afternoon, we're going to discuss a very interesting topic, one that is not commonly discussed, one that is going to give you the aha moment, the eureka moment, where you're wondering, where have you been all this while? It's something you cannot miss out on. And the topic is building a workplace partnership for business sustainability. A workplace partnership for business sustainability. Now, we have with us a very professional speaker by name Solomon Ohene Owusu. Solomon has so much experience, over 12 years experience in HR, business transformation and organizational effectiveness in top public and private industries and institutions. In the public space, Solomon has been with National Lottery and the Ministry of Finance as HR and transformational leader. In the private space, he's been with Meridian Port Services Limited, and he was one time the sub-Saharan head for HR with NS Chemist. Currently, he's with Wilmar Africa. He's a senior professional HR, certified professional HR. He has executive mastery certificate, and he speaks French. So for our French listeners, you are not left out at all. Now, he's passionate about mentoring and developing the human capital of organizations and preparing the young graduates for future opportunities. We're going to delve into this issue, and you will not regret that you spent your time with us. Thank you for joining us. Can we welcome upstage our speaker for the day, Solomon Ohene Owusu?
Thank you very much, Vera. Uh, that was an interesting and complimentary remarks and profile from you. And I'm happy to join the HR Digest to speak on the topic that you have chosen for me.
Awesome. Good to meet you. I'm actually very privileged. And I'm excited about the topic because I know that people will not remain the same. Building a workplace partnership for business sustainability. As we're discussing these things behind the scenes, and I realized that no, we might not even be able to exhaust it within this moment. Let's see, maybe we'll have the opportunity to come back on it. Let's see how much of it we can exhaust. So now, Solomon, when you say workplace partnership for business sustainability, what exactly do you mean? What is it?
Okay, so thank you very much, Vera, for the question. I must say that first and foremost, we should look at what partnership is.
Mhm.
And when we talk of partnership, it is any situation where two individuals decide to come together, or even more group of people decide to come together to take an initiative, to take up a cause. Now, I have noticed over my period of practice as an HR that a lot of organizations, the human resources lose the sight on the fact that this is a partnership between them and then the employer. Again, they also lose sight about the fact that it is a partnership between they and their supervisors or leaders who they work under. So that is what I'm looking at talking about today. So partnership in the workplace for sustainability for me is how we are able to come together from both sides, our differences, our common goals, and forge ahead to make sure that at the end of the day, the business that we have chosen or the profession that we have chosen to be in thrives, and then it is sustained for our also take of it. Because I believe nobody goes into a job thinking that they will leave the organization the next day. So how do you sustain the business over the period? Yes.
Right, thank you. Let's quickly welcome our participants and then we move on. We have Bright Amankra. Hi, Bright. We have Michael Kissy joining us from Cape Coast. Thank you, Michael. You're always with us. Augustine Boka. Thank you for joining in today. Eric Clinton Bois, thank you from Finland. That's awesome. I am Stephen, joining from Kumasi. Great. And Isaac, Accra North. I am Samuel, joining from Accra. Thank you all. Please share the link. Let others also join in because this is a topic you can't keep to yourself. So, if I heard you very well, you are saying that partnership is not it's not the employee-employer relationship. It's not just it's not like a master and servant. You go, you get employed, and then you do your bit and you go away. There is supposed to be a kind of partnership that will bring a solution and what development to each party, and there should be that is what is going to help with the business sustainability. Now, tell us how do we form this kind of relationship? How is this kind of relationship to be formed? What do we do?
Okay, great. So, Vera, you realize that the foremost thing you get in any employment is your employment letter. And when you look at the Labor Act 2003 at 651, it spells out clearly on sections 8 to 11 the rights, the duties of both the employer and then the employee. So that is the beginning
Right.
of partnership. And I am glad you used the word servant master relationship. It has been built in our
Yeah.
minds that when we are employed, it is a favor the employer is giving to you. But I am saying that we should rather see it as a relationship because there were a lot of candidates that were to be selected and you had the opportunity to get in there. It is not an opportunity for of free. It was based on merit. So therefore, you should know that you have something that you are bringing on board, and that is why the partner is also having you. So in the as I've explained, your Labor Act or your work employment tells you clearly what you are supposed to do. And when you look at the Labor Act, especially Section 8, it tells you the kind of relationship that should exist between the employee and the employer. Now, where we will go to would be as we go along, what HR does in this relationship. That makes people even identify or realize that it's indeed a partnership. So the word go is when you have received your employment letter that you have been employed by an organization. It is the beginning of partnership between you and the employer. Yes.
I see. Interesting. I have joining us Doreen Dodo. Doreen says, Solo, we are proud of you. And Oswald in Accra, Oswald Felly, thank you for joining us. Right. So, Solomon, you are saying that the employment contract alone and then connecting it to the Labor Act tells you that it is not simply a relationship of come and work, get paid, and go away. It is possible that whilst you are working, you should be able to build something for yourself. You should be able to help the organization even expand into other areas. And then by so doing, you also benefit and then you can go back home, whether you stay or not. You know, one thing that interests me is when I came across this saying that train the employees so much so that they want to leave you, but treat them well so they don't leave. If we want to even premise our discussion on that, it means that the employee is supposed to have that kind of level of partnership with their employee, such that they are even tempted to go and open up their own enterprises or their own organization. So tell us more. How does that work? Is it just an HR function, or is it a line manager? How does it work?
So thank you very much. And it is a function of both the HR and the line manager. And I
Right.
would say that if you again look at the act that I talked about, there is a responsibility of the employer to make sure that it provides all the needed resources, the
Right.
input that the employee needs to commence its work. So when all these have been provided, what does the employee bring on board? Now, I think the disconnect, first and foremost, is the onboarding process for a new joiner. Our
Okay.
onboarding process had been made in such a way that it only talks about the organization. So, what the organization will give to you, what you will see in the organization, the benefits, the culture, the vision, and all. Yes, it is good. But I feel that, and I believe strongly that it is the HR responsibility to also guide and set clear lines for the employee as to how he should come on board this partnership to make sure that they grow and get the result or the required result that is needed. And that is what I am looking at, changing the paradigm in terms of HR practitioners. Now, for the employee, I believe that no one wants to work for an organization from all his lifetime, getting only salaries till they end their relationship. That is on retrenchment. We have innate abilities, we have set skills in us that we can exhibit. And like you're saying, that is where what we call intrapreneurship comes from. So that
Absolutely.
as you are there, what are you doing to show that this business, I'm treating it like mine? So that in the course of it, the owners of the business or the employer will see you as an asset more than a liability. And that is what I think HR should guide the employees to understand and coach them outside of the normal career developmental program that they will put up for an employee from entry to exit. Yes.
Right. So, Solomon, I'm just wondering and thinking, very loudly to myself here, that do you think that most of our business owners and enterprises are actually ready for this kind of move? But sometimes you hear business owners say things like, "It's not your business. This is what I want you to do. Do that." How do you navigate such challenges and such issues?
Yes.
Even as an HR, even before you come in, because sometimes without the top management buy-in, it even becomes difficult if HR wants to even push such an agenda.
Yes, it's very clear, and then I know the challenge. As you said in my profile, I've worked in the public service, and then I know anyone on the platform who has been in the public service will understand the nature of bureaucracies that comes with it. I've been in the private sector, multinational, and you know how things also work. And then I've also
Right,
been in the private sector, Ghanaian entrepreneur, and then I
right.
know how it works as well. But what I always look out for as the starting point is what I look at as the 4 C's that one should bring. So, as an HR person who wants to put an agenda across, what are the skills you have or you want to exhibit? So, the 4 C's I'm looking out for here is about cohesion. Cohesion, I'm looking at connection, I'm looking at cooperation, and then I'm looking at collaboration. So, when it's about cohesion, if you are not resilient, I will tell you that you will not be able to survive as an HR person because everything that you will send, the business is looking at return on investment. So, how, as an HR person, you build your presentation so that you don't go and only talk qualitative, but you speak quantitative. How do you tell the business the good in what is in it when that action is taken or that activity is taken? We know of multinationals where employees own shares in them. Have we asked the question, how did that happen? It is about a continuous effort through what I have mentioned: cohesion, connection, cooperation, and collaboration to get there.
Great. Thank you, Solomon. That brings me to the next point. Um, you are a certified senior HR person, and you know that most of the time, even when you are having what we call the retrenchment, redundancy, it behoves on the employer to even equip the employee to be able to go out there and survive, do something on their own. But how most if we were putting this partnership into practice, it means that by the time they were even ready to be sent out there, there'll be no need to go through this process of trying to equip them, right? So I think that is a very laudable thing. It
In
means that
fact, in
as
fact, in
an
fact,
HR,
in fact, Vera, exactly my point, because
great.
I ask myself this question: why do we sit down as employers, as
Yes.
HR managers, to wait for retrenchment? And then we say that as part of our retrenchment processes, let's have financial training for people, let's have this training for people, and all. At that instance, that those people are heavily feeling down emotionally, how well would they even listen to? And again, as employees, you realize that if you also do not take this partnership serious, what would happen to you is that one day, if the business to decide to change in any form, you know the metrics that are used in determining who should be retrenched, especially when it is not voluntary. So when you have not harnessed the partnership very well as an employee with the employer, that time comes and then you'll be the one to be retrenched. But I like the point that you said, and I've noted it down here, that one thing we should do is that let us build people best way to make sure that even when they are leaving us, they are not leaving us to come back or point at us to say that, oh, this company, they don't treat people well. Because I'm looking at what employer business propositions are you sending across for your employees who leave you at any time to go
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, okay, you're done. Now, I'm even looking at it, even extending it to pension. We begin to talk to people when they're 45, 50, 55, preparing them. And it's a great opportunity to even take advantage to begin to, package them. If we had been doing that for all this while, you just pension them and they have something waiting. But speak to the fact that employers, some employers, let me say, frown on the fact that even employees may have something on the outside doing because they feel that it might impact negatively on what they do in-house. What would you say to that?
You see, it is not for any reason that we have our work time and all. And if not for anything, I believe the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us a lot of ways of work. And now a lot of businesses, especially multinationals, are looking into agile working and how people can work in different spaces. So if you do not look at this partnership as an employer critical to the success of your business or sustainability of it, then you may end up creating a situation where you would even have what we call work to rule for your employees, where I know that I have to come in at work at 8 a.m. and then close at 5 p.m. And you would look at productivity and nothing has been done. So I believe that when we want to consider things that people can do outside of this partnership, which will benefit from them, I believe again it will even build you, the business, the employer, and give you a good name, because it would always be shown out there that this person worked from this company. And we know a lot of people in our space who are now entrepreneurs providing services to people. And when they go out there and they are talking about companies that they've worked in, they mention certain companies which I wouldn't want to mention. And everybody is
Right.
happy that once you are coming from this company, you will be able to do the work that I'm asking you to do for me.
Right. So for the employer, it even makes you employer of choice, where people go
Exactly.
out there and tout your horn for you. Awesome. Let's
Exactly.
go back to our participant. We have Christiana Jemfua. We have Rachel Adum, sorry, joining us from Cape Coast. Judith Owusu Setre says, "Hi Vera, Abna Premper here. Great insight. Thank you, Sedat, for the opportunity to learn." Thank you, Judith. Hannah Dodu says, "I agree with the speaker." We have Zachary Salamat, an ardent listener and participant. Thank you, Zachary. We have Christiana Jenfo again. I think she's just giving us a wave there. Stephen Abuakwa, connection. He says connection, cohesion, collaboration. And then we have Isaac Boaten, fantastic delivery. Phyllis Quaino, good stuff. Okay, to our participants out there, please go ahead and drop your questions and we'll address them as we go along. Right. So, what are some of the challenges that come with, trying to form this kind of partnership in the workplace? Can you walk us through them?
Yes. One key challenge that it comes up with is that one, in let me just speak mostly about the supervisor or the leader, and then his team's collaboration in this line. You realize that most at times, but I from my current interaction with key people in business, I realize that people are now ready and more willing to teach other people. So you realize that people feel that if I teach you, you will take up the role and I would be made redundant. So uh, that is one of the frustrations that comes up with this partnership. But I think that for you to build a partnership with someone, it comes up from trust, or it starts from trust. Let me share a personal experience when I first started my HR practice. So there was this instance where I speak to issues and my boss, I get the buy-in from my boss. But I had met people who had stayed on the job for years before I came. So it made it look like the spotlight was getting on me as a new person that has come. In fact, I had to reference this biblical quotation, which I've forgotten, but I spoke to my dad about my frustration that this is what is happening. I don't know. And then he was like, that is how the corporate world is. You'll definitely find this. But let me guide you as to how to go about it. So, one, he said, when you have ideas that you want to talk about, discuss with the people who are up there with you so that you get the buy-in from them, explain to them. They may go and speak about it, but one day they may put you on the spot to say that he discussed this with you and you have ideas and you can also espouse it. And in fact, I took up that challenge or advice, and I realized that anytime I've gone to this person and I've spoken to about what I wanted to do, he will come up to say that, oh, I was thinking exactly about this. And then together, that partnership was built. So when we go for meetings, then he would say that, oh, I've spoken with Solomon on this and I would want Solomon to put it out there. So then trust was built. So we should not, at times, the young ones are in haste to think and believe that they know it all, especially because of exuberance. So they know it all, and they would want to say that, okay, this is what it is and all. But make sure that it is a partnership that you want to build. Everyone is in the business for their own development. They are in the business to make sure that that is the earnings for them at the end of every month. So whatever you are going to do, that will break their service or their partnership with the business, they may not take it lightly. And these are some of the things that you would have. So that is one of the challenges that I talk about. And the other one I'll talk about in terms of this partnership is about resources. Employees will complain, oh,
Right.
you asked me to do this, but we do not have A, we do not have B. Now resources abound, or knowledge abounds, and we can get knowledge from all sorts of angles. So some of the time, speak to people. Like I mentioned in my first this thing, I spoke to someone to get direction. Speak to people, read, learn, know how things are done, and commit to it, so that the person sees you as a contributor and not addition. When you are seen as an addition, that is when there is retrenchment, you'll be taken out. But when you are seen as an addition, you always be looked at as an asset to the business.
Awesome. We're going to take a very short break and then we'll be back. So, participants, I'm sure by the time we are back, you have a lot of questions for Mr. Solomon. We have, before we go quickly, Phyllis Kwenu says, good stuff. Benjamin Asieteku says, thank you very much, Mr. Solomon Ohene Owusu. Shall we go on a short break? Thank you. Great. Welcome back. So we are here again. HR Digest is brought to you by Sedat Consult, supported by FA Impressions. FA Impressions for all your branding and printing needs. You may contact them on 0243 526 781. We've been having some very brilliant discussions here, and the 4 things that I took with me is that as to be able to achieve this workplace workplace partnership, we must be there must be cohesion, there must be connection, there must be cooperation, and there must be collaboration. So it's important that we are looking at it. And the key other things that we're discussing, what were the challenges that would fight, that kind of partnership in the workplace? We said that you needed to build trust, and there should be enough resources to help people to be able to, attach themselves to this kind of idea of building partnership in the workplace. So then, we're moving on. Mr. Ohene Owusu, can you walk us through the key drivers of partnership? What are the key drivers of partnership?
All right. So the key drivers of partnership that I would want to share will be one. Just 1 second, please. Can I share? Okay. All right. So sorry. Let me just. I wanted to share, but it's okay. So the key drivers of this partnership should, one, be empathy, respect, and trust. So number one, there should be empathy, there should be respect, and there should be trust. So what is showing empathy? Where you don't fix restrictions on people, where you come to people and ask them why they are not able to even achieve what they are supposed to achieve. Vera, you realize that there's one aspect of businesses that they say that we are looking at performance management. So we assess people in the course of the year and then reward them with bonuses, increments, and all. But in the course of it, I believe that it should be an everyday discussion, because there may be times that people need empathy. There may be times that people need the trust, to trust you, either the supervisor, the employer, or the leader. There must be times that there should be that there must be time that there should be that respect, to show that even though I may be a younger chap heading a department, or you are an older chap heading a department, you still respect my views and you trust me. So that is one of the key drivers that I'll talk about. The next one I would share is also getting aligned. So what are the course that we want to change, or where are we going to? Do we have a goal at the end of the journey that we are embarking on? So when we are all aligned and get clarity in the things that we want to do, I think it helps bring up good partnership. Because when my priorities are misaligned with yours, both parties cannot get to where we want to get to. And I always use this example when you do appraisals and you ask employees about their career goals or developmental goals.
Goals.
And then I say that um, employee development is first and foremost based on the individual. You may feel that now you want to become an architect, but my role is an HR person. I cannot indicate an employee go as trying to have maybe a training in architecture or whatever. It will be misaligned. So whatever goal that you want to set, let it align with the business goal, the business strategy, and both partners would meet it. The third one that I'll talk about here will be share mutual obligations and expectations. So most at times we give orders without people necessarily understanding the obligation that they have in it. So everybody is doing something. Have clear goals. Let it be known clearly that these are the expectations at the end of the day, so that when the people set out to partner or to do what they are supposed to do and they have challenges, they can come back and ask for support from you. And these are the drivers I think are there when we look at partnership.
Right, thank you. So just a quick reminder, Sedat HR, Sedat Consult is your number one stop. Very quickly, we'll be having a performance management training, and you don't want to miss out on that. Our trainings are very practical, hands-on, and so I'll give you more details as we go along. Eric Clinton Bois says that I agree with the speaker about the entrepreneurship. It's a powerful tool. It's a culture in Google. It means that Mr. Solomon Ohene is light years ahead of his generation. Now, Isaac Boatin says, working in the corporate space for quite a long period, I've realized and observed that HR practitioners oftentimes act in favor of the employer and aren't objective with tackling employee concerns, which hinders the 4Cs under discussion. How do you address that, Mr. Ozu?
Okay, so thank you very much.
So he's saying that HR practitioners, yes, they hinder, the employee concerns, which hinders the 4Cs under discussion.
Yes. So if you listen to, I think, the two previous webinar on HR Digest, you realize that the host Patricia then spoke about a survey that has been conducted by BBC, that about 75% or so of employees think that their HR managers or their HR heads do not support them, their cause. And then when she said it, I asked myself the question, is it true? Yes, that is the perception out there. But I can tell you that it is also as a result of employees not being enlightened of this partnership, and that
Yeah.
makes it so. A critical point will be when an HR is advising an employee based on maybe the policies of the organization, the labor acts, whatever it is, and then the employee will take that and again use it against the HR person. So there are clear times that HR can support an employee in terms of advice, because if you look at the key tenants of HR or the key drivers of HR person, you must serve as a consultant and you must have a business acumen and all. So as a consultant, when I am giving you advice, I am giving you advice to make a decision. I am looking at a paradigm where HR people are able to speak to business based on business acumen and not and also be resilient and not on the fact that they say and then the moment they are said no, they turn back. And that is where you have the issue that you've spoken about. But I can tell you that the HR people that are meeting now are way, way above what you are saying. And the point has been that employees having been brought aligned with this partnership, and it makes them lose the sight of the fact that the HR is a middle person in between the employer and the employee in terms of advisory and business development as well.
Right, thank you, Solomon. Whilst you were talking, I was just thinking very quickly that I know of, I don't know if my producers will allow me to mention names here, but a place like Ashasi, that the students they have this entrepreneurship leadership that is inculcated in them. And so when you have them in your workplaces, you don't need to tell them. They bring that on board. So they are in the business, they have their external entrepreneurship they may be pursuing, and then they have the entrepreneurship spirit as well that they use in-house. So I'm just coming to that point and I'm asking, do you think that our education system may have failed us in that area as well?
Of course, because I was before we started this program, I was having a chat with some friends that came around, and then the discussion was that we were looking at how the universities were those times where when you go to the first year, it is non-score, so we say non-scoring. So that is where we try to just fool about particular things or drive for us to do certain things. And all you need to is just to read the handout at the end of the year. At the end of the semester, you go write your exam and then you pass and you get your A and you'll be crowned as a first class person. That is, it will be a broader discussion to go there. So what I am looking out for is how do we as an organization start it, assuming you have raw material. Raw material comes in various forms, but you, the employer or the business person, you know the kind of product you want to churn out of that raw material. So what you do is that you put those products together, add certain things to it, and then at the end of the day, you get what you are looking out for. And that is what I am looking at businesses putting up that. So entrepreneurship could have been done in school, but the practicality of it or the practical aspect of it will be on the job where you are faced with real situations, real opportunities to grow and then be able to deliver in that line.
Right, right. Thank you. Um, write down your for our participants before we go on. Just a quick reminder of our upcoming training, that is designing and implementing effective performance management system. It's a 2-day practical and high impact workshop. It will be held on the 23rd and 24th February 2023. You will see that there's a link that has been dropped. Sorry, a link has been dropped for those who might be interested, and you can click and just register for this training. Trust me, you will not regret attending this training. Now, Solomon, whilst you were talking, so what you're trying to say is that even though the educational system may not be at that point, may not inculcate that in us yet, it behoves on the employer, to try and have a plan towards that and inculcate that in its workers. Because at the end of the day, once that is inculcated, I think that once the employee feels like they own a part of the business, they put in their very best. Whilst they put in their very best, at the end of the day, when they are even exiting, they go with something in them as well. So for me, to the employees out there who have joined us, it is also for your own good, as much as the employer would benefit whilst you are with him, right? Okay, so we are looking at um relationships are not easy. They come with challenges. You can't rule that out. And so at some point whilst you were delivering, you mentioned something like people may feel threatened whilst you are, making strides. People may feel threatened when you begin to do something. So particularly if this partnership thing is not an open, would I say open, it's not opened up to everybody. It means that if a few people begin to do that, it would bring some kind of challenges to them, difficulties. How do you navigate such challenges in a partnership like that? And how do you, even if, assuming that even your HR was not championing that and you had the knowledge, how do you go about it? How do you go about it?
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, very good question. So, when you get into a job, and here I would speak more on, let's say, fresh graduates that are going into organization,
Yeah.
you realize that the first person that you meet in the organization that you work with becomes the person that is guiding you into your career growth and success. If the person drives you well or guides you well, you will succeed and have the best of that direction or partnership. If the person
Yeah.
doesn't drive you well, then you go astray. But I am a believer of the fact that you can initiate something where there isn't. We are looking at this perspective in terms of the broader part that businesses should or organizations should have this partnership, and HR should drive it and all. But you, the employee or the joiner, can have that relationship with your boss. And that relationship will start from, again, like I mentioned earlier, trust. Am I being threatened by you? Again, openness. Again, sympathy, knowledge sharing, the collaboration we talked about. How do you collaborate even with your team? Are you hiding information from people? Are you always looking out to be the one to come out with something good so that everybody sees you and then praises you? So if you want to build this partnership, whether or not there is in the organization, these are things that you yourself should assess and be able to say that I am on the right path to start a partnership. One thing you should also notice that this partnership that you will build will lead into you becoming an entrepreneur because you are intra. So once you are intra, you are exhibiting certain skills in the business that would help you now face any challenges. Should you decide that now I feel I would have to set up my own thing and do, and that is where we should be driving at. So it is both partners. It doesn't still change for even managers or people that are already in businesses because they say that one head, you cannot be a repository of all knowledge. And when you open up and read and get other input from other people, that is where you will grow. So that is what I would say in the challenges of this kind of partnership, even when there hasn't been
That's
a clear business direction in that line. Yes.
great, 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 great. Our time is so fast spent. Um, that brings me to the point where in the COVID period, that is when people realize that you really and truly cannot just be dependent on your corporate work. You need to have something on the side. We saw a lot of people trying quickly to put something together and have a kind of business. So we are saying that if you are able to have this workplace partnership, in your own words, it will lead you to become an entrepreneur because you have learned to be an entrepreneur at your workplace, and that builds you to come out and be able to even build something to sustain you no matter what the circumstances are. So I think this is a very healthy topic that we should keep drumming until people get it. Now, Mr. Solomon, your last words to our participant, what would you say?
Okay. Any question from them, or we are good so that I can just.
Yes, then there are no questions at the moment. All we see,
Okay,
Mary
good.
Owusu says, good presentations, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what I am looking out for as part of my passion is to make sure that people start to develop themselves and look at themselves as partners to a business and not the servant master relationship that has been at the back of our minds. So I get this job, I do it. People have stayed in jobs for years, and all they are looking out for is that one day there's retrenchment, and the number of years that they have served will give them some huge sums of money. Or all they are
Yeah.
looking out for is that, oh, let me just continue to do this business, and then one day I'll retire, and then I'll. No, that shouldn't be the case. Prepare yourself in such a way that even if a business should fold up now, there are skills that you have learned and prepared yourself for to help you sustain yourself in the interim whilst you look for other jobs. I'm looking out for people. I am happy to see now young graduates who do selling online and all. And again, it's as a result of our online space being very broad, and it has brought about this. But I am looking forward to those people adding a touch to what they are doing, because a lot of them do it and it is just raw. How do you even brand your product? How do you brand yourself in an organization? I remember I went for an interview and I was asked that, so what is my brand? If I'm a product, what product will I be? What is my brand? And I felt that the question was asking me, I am an HR person. So what is my brand? Do I exhibit HR? If you say you are a marketing person, are you exhibiting that? That can only happen when you have taken that initiative and that effort to build partnership where others will help you develop to become who you want to be. So to conclude, I would say that I I have this thing that guides me in everything that I do. And I am saying that one will be choices, there will be chances, and there will be changes. So choices, chances, and changes. And then you make a choice to take a chance, or your life will never change.
Ah,
So, so there are choices, chances, and changes. You make
chances
a
and
choice,
changes.
yes, you make a choice to take a chance, or your life will never change. And the final thing is that opportunity always meets preparedness. So if you don't prepare yourself and the opportunity comes, others will take it away from you. Thank you very much, Vera.
Thank you for having it. Choices, chances, change. You make a choice, you take a chance, or your life will never change. I'm sure that is why our ardent participants and listeners have joined us today. They want to make a choice, they want to take a chance, and they want a changed life. So we are so happy. Doreen Dodu says, you've really educated us. Now, Sankofa Yentri, I'm sure that we can speak in the local dialect here. So, Mr. Owusu says that, what do you, Mr. That's Eric Clinton Bois, sorry, says that, what do you see as challenging preventing employers in Ghana from creating the culture of entrepreneurship? What do you see as the challenges? Maybe just quickly, then we wrap up on that one. Yes.
Yes. The challenge is the fear of the unknown, because one, our market looks big but very small. So it is only always the fear of the unknown, that if I teach you or I partner, I make you a partner, not a partner as a shareholder or whatever, but I guide you to develop what will be of me. And that has been the fear of a lot of entrepreneurs in Ghana. But I'm here to say that the point is that if you do not train your people, if you do not build your people, and they stay same, you will stay still, and you will die
Yeah.
over the period.
Right. If you do not train your people and they stay still, you would also die. Is that not so? So we are here to make a choice, we'll take a chance, and then our life will not remain the same. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. You've so much educated us. I know we'll not remain the same. So for our cherished participants, we are reminding you once again our upcoming training on designing and implementing, an effective performance management. There's a link down there. If you are not even registering now because you're already taking the course with us, shoot it to your friends and family. Let them also join in and get educated. Thank you all for joining us. Finally, FA Impressions, our supporting partners, they can be contacted on 0243 526-781. Sedat Consult, your number one-stop shop for HR solutions. Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all.
Thank you.